Hello everyone! In today's video we are going to be doing the animations, and I am super excited because animations are not that difficult to understand, but the way that we're going to be doing them is a little bit different from the way everyone else does them. But I think you'll find them to be super easy this way. So let's get right into it. So open your object hero, open your step event. Oh, and before I go any further, I would like to formally apologize for the lack of quality in the last video. And if you need to have a clearer picture of what the code looks like, then here it is. Basically, this is the movement code with the attacking equals false up here. And then you can just pause it if you need to. And this is the code for the sword swing. Okay, so now that you have gotten all of that down, hopefully you have gotten it first, but in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do the animations. So for the animations, the only thing we need to do, for the movement animations I should say, is we need to go into each of these, and right after our global.move we need to add image speed equals 1. And we also need to do sprite index, do this above that one by the way, equals SPR underscore man walk, and then whichever direction you're going in. This one's left, so we'll do left first. Alright, so we change the sprite index first, and then we change the image speed. This will basically tell the engine that the sprite for the player is changing to this, and that it is animating. So in the else case, we need to add a semicolon, just like we did in the episode 1, and instead of adding the global facing variable here, we need to add image index equals 5 semicolon image speed equals 0. So this will reset the image index to the idle animation, and if you didn't set yours up the same way as mine, then I'll basically show you where it is now. You basically count over from this one. This is 0, 1, 2, 3. You can use 4, 5, 6, 7, or 7. Or alternatively, you can use one of the end ones. So that's 12, 11, 10, and 9. So any 8 of those will work. I choose 5 because it's easy for me to remember, but any of them will work really. So up here we change the sprite index to whichever one we are using. Then we change the image speed to animate the character. And then in the else case, it will change it to the idle animation for the particular direction, and it will stop animating. So basically, really we can copy and paste the majority of this. For this particular one, we can copy this and paste it down here. And then the only thing we'll have to change is this. So this is up. And then this is right. And then this one is down. Okay. And then for these, the only thing we have to do is just copy and paste these. Make sure you select from the 0 on this side to the semicolon on this side before you hit copy. Alright, and then that's the only thing you have to do is paste them in here. Now then, for our attacking sprite, this is what we're going to do. So within the global facing switch loop, after the sword position is set, basically, we are going to be doing image index equals, and then we're going to be using one of the ones that is not the idle animation. So in this case, actually, I'm going to be using one of these. So you can use one of these, or you can use one of these. Just make sure it's not the idle animation. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to be using number 8 for mine. Okay, and then that's all you need for these. And all of these were set up the exact same way for me, so I only have to copy and paste them. And yours, if you've done everything so far the exact same way as me, then you'll be able to do the same. It just makes it easier. Now then, that's not the only thing we need to do for this one. we also need to go into our alarm and double tap, and then change our image index to one of our idle animations, so in this case -5. And again, if you set yours up the same way, then it'll be the same for you. Now let's save and test, and hopefully that will be all the animations done. Well, we've got these animations done at least. Okay, so the issue here is once again the else cases, because I told you to do something that is not correct. Okay, so I have consulted the other project that I was working on, and it turns out I didn't actually add these two else cases, so go ahead and take all of this out. And we're going to be doing something else, which you would think would be about the same thing, but it's not, so bear with me here. So we need to run a check to see if these keys are not being pressed. And to do that, all we have to do is type if keyboard check VK left, and that's 1. Go ahead and type your AND statement here. Now then, what the exclamation point is, it's basically telling the game or the engine that it's checking to see if this is not true, basically. So it's kind of the same as an else case, but it acts differently depending on the circumstance. So in this case, we need to check these things, because otherwise if we have just the else cases, then the sort animations won't work once we get the other animations finished. So this is why this is important. So if not keyboard check VK left, and we need to do this for every single key, by the way, so you can just copy and paste it. Up, right, and down. Then open your brackets, your curly braces. And then in here, this is where image index equals 5 and image speed equals 0 will go. So that is our animation reset. So I don't know what that's going to do personally. I think there's one more thing we have to do before we fix the animations, but for now, let's just test it and see if that actually does fix it. Because if it does, I don't have to worry about anything else. And wouldn't you know it, it actually does. This is why testing is very important, because now our animations are done. Alright, so now let's do some tweaks. Go to your sword swing case here, your system here, and where we put y plus 5 on the left and right, change that to y plus 3 instead. That will move it up 2 pixels, and that might actually make it look a little better. So let's go ahead and test that now. Yeah, that's a little better. Now, I'm not sure why the character started facing upwards. That's a little weird. Let me see if that was just a fluke. No, it's not. Which means there is another issue. And I know exactly what it is, because we're using image index equals 5 here. Let's change this. No, even if we change it to 4, it still wouldn't matter. Let's see here. Let's change this to 7. That should help. Now, let me explain this change here, because it's setting the idle animation for the hero as its default thing. But if we change it to 5, it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll run it through once and then go to the second one, basically. So it's the same as changing it to image index equals 1. And but this one has 4 animations for all 4 faces. But what we can do is we can instead change it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's still an idle animation within the idle animation frames within the walking animation. And so we can change it to this, and it should still work properly. So hopefully that is accurate. And that's basically, like, I didn't have to do this in the last one, but I set the idle animation up differently in the other project as well. So there we go. Now we can clearly see that the player starts facing downward, and all of the animations work properly. And of course we did the sword tweak, so the sword looks a little better now. Okay, so we've still got quite a bit of time in this video left. Quite a substantial amount of time, I might add. So let's do something else. Let me show you something. Alright, so until this point we haven't been using labels, except down here. We labeled this one. But I, personally, like to use labels, always. So let's set up our labels here, and I'm going to show you the importance of using labels. So let's say you walk away from this project and you come back to it and you have no idea what anything is anymore. The labels will actually tell you what everything does, obviously. So let's go ahead and add these now. I usually like to use dividers that are about this length, and my labels usually go right underneath those. So this is going to be movement, and I'll label each individual thing separately, but that'll be movement, and then here's the next divider, and then sword swing is next, etc., etc. So basically what we need to do is change all of these to indicate where you're moving to. So this one is left, this one is right, this one is up. Heh, my bad. This one's up. Haven't been paying attention. And this one's right. And finally, down. Now, I'm also going to label this one, because this one's actually more important than the other ones to label. Animation reset. Okay, so now we have our labels, for the most part. We can also add labels to the case system, so let's go ahead and do that. If facing left, if facing up, if facing right. I don't have to capitalize that. Oopsie. If facing down. And that is going to be our labels. So it's pretty easy to label things. All you have to do is type 2 slashes and then type whatever you want after that. In order to create the dividers, specifically in order to create the dividers in Enigma, you have to type 2 slashes and then a dash, a hyphen. So otherwise, if you just have the slashes, as you can see, it doesn't count as basically anything other than just standard old text. So 2 slashes and a dash will create this as a comment line. And I guess I can go ahead and show you this now. If you need to comment out multiple lines of code, then you type in a slash and then a star. And that will basically comment out every line after it until you type in a star and then a slash. And then everything in between these two symbols will be commented out. So I'm just showing that to you right now. Do not actually do that to this code because you'll screw everything up. But yeah, that is dividers. And I think I want to end the video here. It's been about 19 minutes of recording, but the video probably won't even be about 10 minutes long. But anyways, Regardless, if you enjoyed watching, then please leave a like and share the video with your friends and subscribe if you want to see the rest of the series. And stay tuned for the next episode. I think that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.